When I woke up yesterday, first person I got a call from, Tamar's publicist. Second person I got a call from, two other people in her camp that's in her business. Everybody wanting to know, what can we do to put this to bed? What can we do? Q, don't do it. Q, be the bigger person. Q, what we gotta do? You know how Tamar is. Y'all know how she... Q, please don't. Q, what we gotta do? Q, we been talking to her. Q, we try... My words to everybody was, why are y'all talking to me?
Atlanta has been messy before, but nothing compares to the storm that hit when Tamar Braxton slammed that post button. One eerie Instagram story, just one photo, one caption was enough to send the city spinning. I woke up in a pool of blood. And with that, hashtags exploded, gossip blogs combusted, and fans nationwide spiraled into endless debates about what really went down. To some, Tamar barely escaped a terrifying medical crisis. To others, it smelled like yet another conveniently timed stunt, rolling out right before her shiny new project, and caught in the center of this hurricane, whether he liked it or not, was none other than Funky Dineva. The issue with Tamar's confession wasn't only her words, it was the deafening silence wrapped around them. She insisted she had fractured teeth, a busted nose, and zero memory of the night, but she never revealed who was present, who carried her, or who could have been responsible. And when Tamar leaves blanks, the internet does what it does best, scribbles in its own theories. And the loudest theory? Every finger pointed at Funky. Her comments filled with accusations, strangers declaring he spiked her drink, that he hurt her, that he was the dark hand behind her bloody chaos. Thread after thread went viral on Twitter, Instagram lit up with call-outs, and just like that, Funky's name was stamped as the villain in her nightmare.
I told you yesterday, you was gonna pay me for my pain. See, you the type of person, you ain't used to having nobody around you to meet you where you at. All right? I'm equally as crazy. I'm equally mentally and emotionally unstable as you are. All of this was supposed to be put to bed yesterday.
The comments section turned into a war zone, flooding his live streams with pure venom aimed straight at Funky Dineva. This wasn't regular shade, it was a full-blown reputational gut punch. In his own words, what kind of world lets someone get accused of drugging or hurting another person, and then everyone just sits back in silence? He knew the claims were false, but Tamar's refusal to speak made him look guilty by default. All he wanted was clarity, a simple statement. Funky Dineva did not do anything to me. That was it. That was the only ask. Period. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, Tamar's team was blowing up his phone. Her publicist, her assistants, even her closest people all begging Funky to just drop it, to stop fanning the flames. Q, don't do this. Q, be the bigger man. Q, what will it take? But Funky clapped back cold. Why are y'all pleading with me? Why aren't you demanding answers from her? Because the ugly truth was clear, he didn't light this fire. Tamar did, when she pressed post. And only Tamar had the power to put it out. Period. After relentless pressure, she finally caved. She released a tiny note on...
She posts, I almost died and is found in a pool of blood. She still texting me. Friend, oh my God, friend. I don't even know what happened. So I wrote back, wait, I'm confused. You went to bed and you woke up and 4 of your teeth was missing. No response to that. But then later, texting about every damn thing else under the sun. So I'm like, okay.
On Instagram, Tamar Braxton finally typed, "No matter what, I love Funky anyway. If I had known what was happening while I was recovering, I would have spoken up. It's awful that my silence turned into this circus. I just want peace." For Funky, it wasn't flawless, but it was enough to cool the fire, at least temporarily. He felt she had finally tossed the public something to stop tearing his name apart. He exhaled and let it ride. But the internet never forgets, and neither did Funky. Deep down, he knew the vibe was off. The apology felt too polished, too scripted, too manufactured. He admitted it himself. We had to twist, bend, practically drag her arm just to squeeze out that little post. it didn't feel real. It didn't feel honest. It felt like damage control, pure and simple. Still, Funky decided to give her grace. Okay, something happened to her. She's not okay. I can handle this storm. I've handled worse. He believed it would blow over. He thought eventually they could laugh about the chaos, maybe even patch things up. After all, they had history. But what he never saw coming was the twist, because Tamar wasn't finished. She didn't end with the apology. She didn't end with peace. As her recovery dragged on, she began slipping out cryptic posts, messy captions, shady one-liners only one way to read. Things like, "The rabbit got the pow-pow. My voice is my PR stunt. All that hating and gossiping about me still couldn't stop a thing." I'd be furious too, because on the surface, Tamar's cryptic post could have been about anyone. But given the timing, the tension, and the so-called apology that was supposed to bury the drama, Funky Dineva knew exactly who she was shading. And that's when his patience snapped. To Funky, this wasn't playful shade. This was betrayal. He had already been dragged through the gutter. He had already endured thousands accusing him of crimes he never committed. His name had already taken blow after blow. And now Tamar wanted to play keyboard games? For him, that flimsy apology was nothing but a cheap band-aid, hollow, insincere, meaningless. So when Funky hit go live again, he unleashed the smoke. He read Tamar top to bottom, clowning her for chasing attention, for loving the sympathy, for feeding the frenzy instead of telling the truth. You like this type of chaos. You thrive off speculation. You want to be the center of every storm. He snapped that none of it would have happened if she had just acted normal, patched herself up, healed quietly, and kept it pushing. He pointed out Tamar wasn't too weak to post shady captions, wasn't too weak to drop subliminals, wasn't too weak to premiere a new video, but somehow, she was too weak to clear his name when it mattered. And that, to him, said it all. Fans caught on quick. On Twitter, some roasted Tamar for being messy, labeling her apology fake and accusing her of using Funky as collateral damage for her rollout. Others defended her, saying she nearly died and didn't owe anyone anything. But the line was drawn, and the feud was far from over. Because while Tamar wanted the world to believe, she claimed she was focused on healing, but Funky Dineva had already decided her apology was fake. Her silence had stolen his peace, and he wasn't letting it slide. Then came the receipts that flipped everything upside down. The voice of authority that made the chaos even uglier. A cosmetic dentist stepped forward, publicly confirming exactly what Tamar Braxton had endured. Yes, her teeth were fractured. Yes, one tooth was completely knocked out. Yes, her septum was broken. And yes, she underwent surgery to fix it. This wasn't some Instagram stunt, her injuries were real. But instead of killing the conversation, the confirmation only poured gasoline on the flames. Now the questions got nastier. Not if she was hurt, but how she was hurt, and why she thought Instagram deserved the story more than the friend she supposedly loved. The drama had only just cracked open. The world finally had medical proof Tamar wasn't lying about her condition, but what the world still didn't have were answers. Why did she stay silent while Funky burned alive in the court of public opinion? And why, even after apologizing, was she still tossing subliminals online? Funky was done. Funky stopped playing nice. In his words, "Enough is enough. You're going to pay me for my pain." By now, the storm should have died down after that half-baked apology, but instead, it roared louder. Blogs devoured the mess. Fans debated nonstop. And the streets of Atlanta buzzed with one burning question. Was Tamar Braxton telling the truth, or was this just another tired chapter in her endless reality soap? Shockingly, the answer didn't come from Tamar, it came from the cold, clinical voice of a doctor. That doctor was Dr. Amira Augenlai, a respected Miami cosmetic dentist, who stepped forward and stamped legitimacy on Tamar's claims. She confirmed what Tamar had danced around. Tamar hadn't dreamed up her injuries, hadn't faked them for clicks. The receipts were medical. Multiple fractured teeth, one ripped completely from its socket, a broken septum. Emergency oral surgery had been done within 24 hours just to stabilize her. And Dr. Amira didn't stop there. She revealed Tamar had flown to Miami in desperation. Terrified her smile was gone. Terrified her voice, the very weapon of her career, was at risk. The explanation was medical, but the undertones? Chilling. The doctor made it plain. Tamar would need months of appointments, multiple surgeries, and a grueling recovery to reclaim any sense of normal. This wasn't a quick bounce back with concealer and a fresh wig. These were life-altering injuries. And yet, instead of facing the gravity head-on, Tamar chose to play coy online, twisting tragedy into shady captions and subliminal digs. The doctor also tackled the burning mystery of how this nightmare could have even happened. Tamar's camp demanded every possibility be tested: stroke, seizure, sudden collapse, but every result came back clean. The final medical verdict? Baffling. Sleepwalking. According to Dr. Amira Ogunlai, Tamar may have simply risen in the dead of night, wandered disoriented, crashed headfirst into disaster, and woken with no memory. Sleepwalkers can hurt themselves badly, she explained. They can walk, fall, even break bones, and the next morning recall nothing. On paper, it fit. But to fans who've tracked Tamar for years, the story sounded almost too bizarre. A pool of blood, shattered teeth, and a busted nose, all from sleepwalking? For many, it reeked of the perfect cover-up. And the skepticism only grew louder when you clocked the timing. Right before her EP dropped. Right when Tamar needed blog chatter. Right when sympathy could equal streams. The doctor's words gave Tamar credibility, sure, but they also armed Funky Dineva with ammunition. Because for him, the question was never if Tamar got hurt. The question was her silence, her refusal to clear his name, her choice to spin a private medical emergency into a circus that wrecked him publicly. And then came Tamar's next act, the captions, the subliminals that poured kerosene on the fire. In the days following the doctor's confirmation, Tamar lit up Instagram stories with gems like, "Never ever going back to what I grew from. Nice try, devil. My voice is my PR stunt. Talent speaks for itself. The rabbit got the pow pow. All that hating and gossiping about me still didn't stop a thing." Vague? Sure. But the shade? Screaming. Fans. Interview 12. 1512. 50 for dots. Who else could she possibly be shading but Funky Dineva? Who else had accused her of stunts? Who else was demanding apologies and refusing to bow out? To Funky, this was the smoking gun, the proof he'd suspected all along that her apology was nothing but empty air. Because if Tamar truly wanted peace, if she truly wanted to move on, she wouldn't be on Instagram firing off subliminals. She wouldn't be talking rabbits and pow pow. She wouldn't be spinning her accident into some PR stunt that magically proved her talent. No, she would have sat down, healed, and left the chaos behind. But Tamar Braxton has never been the type to leave drama behind, and Funky Dineva, he's never been the type to sit quiet while someone comes off in his direction. He hit go live once more, angrier and pettier than ever. This time, he didn't just clap back, he scorched her. He dragged Tamar across the digital streets, calling her a toothless muppet and mocking the very injuries that had landed her in a hospital bed. He shredded her infamous pool of blood tale with razor sarcasm. What was it, Olympic size? A kiddie pool? Or just the little spit we all see brushing our teeth? The shade was vicious, but it landed with fans who already doubted her. To them, Tamar had spun a tragedy into soap opera melodrama. Funky's mocking cut through the sympathy, forcing people to reconsider the story altogether. Then he jabbed where it hurt most, her motives. Your so-called near-death experience sure didn't make you thankful to be alive, Funky snapped. If it had, you'd stop being messy, dramatic, and desperate for attention. You didn't fall hard enough. Maybe next time, get drunk, pop the crazy pills, and pass out again. The words were savage, but they dripped with his frustration. Funky Dineva wasn't just furious at the shady posts, he was furious at the principle. In his eyes, Tamar Braxton had sacrificed him as collateral damage to juice her own headlines. The internet ignited all over again. Fans split down the middle, some called Funky cruel, heartless, and out of line for mocking a woman's medical trauma. Others defended him, saying Tamar had played reckless with her silence, messy with her subliminals, and that Funky had every right to clap back after being accused of something so serious. Tamar meanwhile played coy, tossing up another story. I mind mine and heal. But by then, the damage was already scorched in. The posts, the deletes, the unfollows, everything made her apology look faker by the minute. And Funky wasn't letting it slide. To him, Every shady subliminal was another check. Every cryptic caption Tamar dropped became another reason to go live, drag her, and remind the world how she tried to throw him under the bus. He made it clear he'd keep cashing in on her mess until she finally left him alone. You post, I post. You fire, I fire back. And with that, it was crystal clear this wasn't just about a hospital scare anymore. This had morphed into a full-on war of egos, pride, and reputations. Tamar was fighting for her narrative. Funky was fighting for his name and the fans. They were feasting, screenshotting every post, clipping every live, and spoon-feeding the blogs nonstop. What began as a so-called medical emergency had now ballooned into a reality TV saga juicier than anything VH1 could ever script. The doctor had confirmed the injuries. Tamar had doubled down with shade. And Funky? He went nuclear with his clapbacks. But this wasn't the end, oh no. Not even close. Because Funky wasn't just clapping back anymore. He was escalating. He was laying down rules, tossing ultimatums, and making it clear Tamar would either stop or pay. With her subliminals flying and his petty drags cutting deeper, the feud reached a boiling point, and Funky was ready to crank it even further. In his own words, "Every post you make, I'm making $5,000 off your name. You're gonna pay me for my pain." By the time the dust settled after the doctor's receipts and Tamar's shady subliminals, it was obvious this wasn't some petty spat. This was war, and Funky Dineva wasn't backing down. If anything, he was sharpening his tongue, loading up for the next round. Because in his eyes, Tamar Braxton had crossed the line not only by refusing to defend him while he burned, but by doubling back and deleting posts, unfollowing folks, and tossing slick subliminals like her apology never even existed. For Funky, that was the final straw. He jumped back on live, this time with flames in his eyes and venom in his tone. "I told you yesterday you gon' pay me for my pain." He chanted it like a preacher mid-sermon, and baby, he meant it. "You gon' pay me for my pain." The words cracked through the internet like a warning shot. This wasn't just messy gossip anymore. This was about principle, respect, and refusing to be someone's collateral damage. Funky had been dragged through the filth, smeared as a predator, torn apart by thousands online, all because Tamar dropped a dramatic caption with zero context. And now, after all that, she thought she could get slick with subliminals. Not on his watch. He broke it all down step by step, exposing the behind-the-scenes begging. Tamar's publicist had called. Members of her team had pleaded. Everybody had tried. Q, be the bigger person. Q, what can we do? Q, please don't. But Funky hit them all with the same response. Don't talk to me, talk to her. Because at the end of the day, only Tamar held the key to clearing his name. Only Tamar could actually silence the whispers. And what did she do? Tossed out a lazy apology, snatched it back, hit that unfollow button, and sprinted right back into Instagram games. To Funky, that was the final receipt. Proof she never meant a single word. Proof her little sorry was just a cheap PR band-aid to muffle the chaos. Proof she cared more about polishing her image than saving his reputation. She knows exactly what's happening, Funky said, shaking his head in disgust. While I'm getting cooked alive online, she's out here posting selfies, texting, laughing, acting like nothing's wrong. That apology? Forced, hollow, never genuine. And newsflash, I'm not some soft clown you can pacify with crumbs. You're not gonna play in my face like that. Then he hit where it hurt. He dragged Tamar's obsession with rushing to social media instead of actually healing. What world are we living in where folks claim medical emergencies and the first thing they do is run to Instagram? Oh my God, I woke up in a pool of blood. Girl, patch yourself up and call a doctor. But no, you wanted sympathy. You wanted attention. You wanted the circus. And then he twisted the knife. You live for this chaos. You thrive off this drama. And now, you dragged me right into your mess. Twitter lit up instantly, memes exploded, timelines flooded, and screenshots of Tamar's disappearing act went viral. Subliminals were paired with Funky's trademark line, "You gonna pay me for my pain." TikTok creators jumped in, acting out the feud, one playing Tamar wrapped in bandages, the other as Funky with giant shades and sharp one-liners. Their beef turned into internet theater, and Funky leaned right into it. He wasn't just clapping back, he was cashing in. Every shady post she drops, "I pocket $5 grand, Funky bragged. "That's my Miami getaway. That's my Range Rover note. Baby, keep talking, 'cause you funding my lifestyle. Petty? Yes. Savage? Absolutely. Genius? Without question. Tamar's shade was now his hustle, his power, his endless stream of content, and he wasn't backing down. Then Funky dropped the bombshell. Rules of engagement, line by line, like a contract. You stay quiet, I stay quiet. You don't post, I don't post. And that includes subliminals. All them God removed me posts. Nope, try it. And I'm live. Immediately. Period. The warning was simple. Tamar could have peace if she zipped her mouth. But if she kept feeding the fire, Funky promised to torch her every single time. And to him, this wasn't just petty gossip, it was business.it. Wasn't just about clout. You might clown the others, but you're not going to clown me, Funky snapped. I'm as reckless, as unhinged. You throw shade, I throw gasoline. Tables turn quick when the rabbits got the gun. The internet went wild. Blogs crowned it the nastiest feud of the season. Comment sections split in half. Some dragged Funky for mocking her injuries, calling him heartless, while others praised him, saying Tamar used him, played victim, and finally got burned. Either way, her apology bombed. The doctor's notes didn't save her, and the war spiraled. Funky was stacking checks, Tamar's credibility sinking, and the world couldn't look away. The chilling twist? Funky teased he was still holding receipts. Even now, I'm covering you medically, covering you romantically, but you keep poking me, and I'm telling you this ain't the lane you want. That single word romantically set the blogs ablaze. What did Funky know? Who was Tamar secretly tied to? And when would he finally spill? Happen if he finally unloaded that tea? Tamar on her end vanished. No subliminals, no cryptic captions, but that silence spoke volumes too. Funky, her deleting, blocking, and vanishing was proof she had lost the war. To fans, it screamed she was hiding something messy, and so the feud wrapped not with peace, not with answers, but with tension thick enough to slice. While Tamar patched her pride and limped forward, Funky carved his boundaries deep. He laid down his rules and made it crystal clear if she crossed them, the smoke was ready. The ball sat in Tamar's court and the world leaned in, waiting on her next move. Would Tamar clap back and risk Funky detonating that romantic bombshell he teased? Or would she bite her tongue, choke on her pride, and let the feud rot? The outcome could shape not just her image, but her entire career. One reckless slip, and Funky Dineva was